LSU landed a big power hitter coming out of Indiana State. Luis Hernandez announced his commitment to LSU. He was at Indiana State this past season. He had a monster year. Batted nearly 360, 359, had 23 home runs, 76 runs batted in.
Stacks.
It was a nice see. LSU could have really used his pop last season, but they get him out of the portal this year as he'll be coming over from. But I believe he's a catcher, right?
He played catcher, designated hitter, and first base. So it doesn't really answer your Bear Jones question as of yet, but it does give you a perennial power hitter, or at least coming in as 23 home runs. As I don't care where you're doing it, that's still 23 pumps. So that's going to come in and either give you a new designated hitter, which you have room for, a catcher to help Brady Neal, which you have room for, and if it's Bear Jones, you have somebody that can play first base. But Jared Mitchell and Mikey were talking about this before this was announced and saying how kind of imperative it was for LSU to find some pop somewhere in the transfer portal, because if you look at what you're losing, it would be almost 70 home runs from Tommy White and Bear Jones, or I guess like 55, 60 home runs between the two, and Travinsky. Or that was your Mount Rushmore of your lineup of, if you got those two guys out, those three guys at times, you're going to beat LSU. So now they might be leaving. And Tommy White's gone for sure. The Bear Jones conversation is something that Jay talked about a little bit in his presser, where like he sees both sides of it. He goes, if he wants to go, like the door's always open. Like I'll have that conversation with you, but I have my pitch as to what I want to say and what I think is best for you and for LSU. But I'm never going to stop anybody from going to the Major League Baseball draft. That's your dream. So if LSU were to lose a Bear Jones, that's still some run production that you have to find. But at least you solidified like a corner, maybe corner first baseman, somewhere where you would have pop in your lineup. And to get a Luis Hernandez like that, which I didn't even know he existed, but that's how the portal works, where I don't even know how you begin to attack this thing. You're
State
circling
coach.
Guys at Indiana State.
Sycamore.
Yeah, the pride of French Lick.
That's right.
But
Larry Bird.
That's where you got to go. I mean, I don't know how they obviously have a system in place, but you continue to see this thing roll through as LSU has had plenty of people hit the portal. So a lot of open room to be able to add to the portal.
Do we have the sound from Jay Johnson's press conference yesterday?
Yes.
Are we good on that? Do we have a shot sheet on it?
Oh, let me get that.
Or we can just roll
it's
it
just
down
1 through
here?
4. Yeah, you can go 1 through 4 here.
Let's just roll 1 through 4 here, Stewie, and listen to some sound yesterday. Jay Johnson meeting with the press, wrapping up a little bit of the season and looking ahead to what's going on now as far as building next year's roster.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I want to just kind of officially say I'm super proud of our 2024 team. I think, obviously my whole life is built around Omaha and the College World Series. And we did not make that, but I'm really proud of what this team accomplished, particularly the back half of the season. I think, when you look at the last half of SEC play, the SEC tournament, and the regional, to take one of the best teams in college baseball on their home field to, we're 2 outs away, from winning that regional and hosting a super regional, which would have been against a really good West Virginia team. I'm super proud of that. As I alluded to in Chapel Hill, it's a heartbreaking loss, other than I've had several of them. You do this long enough, and you play in postseason baseball a lot. That happens, but outside of losing the 2016 national championship game, that's one of the toughest losses of my career, simply because of the players and them staying engaged. I think it's a great life lesson in how you deal with adversity, and just want to make sure we don't blow past that just because a little bit of time has passed and I haven't been able to talk to you guys. My heart is full when I think about 2024 and the team and how they finished the season.
That was the 2024 recap from Coach Jay Johnson. Here he is talking about the roster turnover, the upcoming Major League Baseball draft, and what 2025 could look like.
Since then, we flew back a week ago. I don't even know what day it is right now. We flew back a week ago, and had exit meetings on Wednesday that were very positive. I think, looking at the players that have committed to return for 2025, you're starting with some really good pieces and some great character. And I think that's something that, I'm comfortable with as a foundation is the people that we have and their commitment moving forward. So I thought those were positive. And then we need to obviously go get some players, having 13 players drafted last year. I think we'll have, could be 5, as few as 5, and it could be as many as 11 probably off of this roster. That's a lot of turnover, over a 2-year period from LSU to professional baseball. And I would guess by the time the 2024 draft ends, that would be the most in the country. And I'm really proud of that, and that's what we're also here to do, is develop guys for professional baseball. Nobody does that better. So it's kind of led to a hustle, I guess you would say, of what we need to do to put our 2025 roster where it needs to be. It will look different by design, and I'm very excited about that. And we've had some good interactions both in campus visits and out on the road here over the past couple days, and we'll continue that until the first day of school, and putting ourselves in a good position to go forward. And that's a lot, but that's where we're at.
Can you maybe
How about the portal and how Coach Johnson is looking into the portal to add to his team?
This is a new world for me. I've had a couple calls maybe that in the meeting one thing was said and then a different result happened. So I don't want to speak for those guys, but when you look at a freshman pitcher like Cade Anderson, coming into the NCAA tournament and pitching the way that he did in back-to-back games, with the talent, the competitiveness, the poise, the improvement, that's something to get excited about. When you have 2 left-handed hitting freshman outfielders, you got one, hitting a homer, in a regional championship game on the road, and Jake Brown, that's something to be excited about. He hasn't even remotely tapped into all of what he's going to be able to do. Ashton Larson had a great freshman season, something to be excited about. Steven Milam, got chosen for that USA. I don't even know what they're doing. Like, they're having a freshman team and stuff. I don't know what it is, but regardless, great honor. And the improvements that he made, and I spoke a lot about those 4 guys, throughout the year. That's a great starting point for a sophomore class. Easily the best freshman class that we've had in the 3 years that I've been here in terms of what they contributed on the field to the team's success. Chase Shores, to win 43 games and lose a talent like that and not have him available, again, major hat tip, to our team. And he's rolling pretty good. Was throwing a live bullpen the other day, in a rehab thing, and was up to 97.7 miles an hour, and we're 14 months or 13 and a half months off of surgery. Sliders really improved. Him and Coach Yeski have been doing great work on that. You feel great about that. Obviously, there is some situations with, there's some guys kind of maybe in the in-between pro baseball and coming back. All of those guys will be welcomed back, and have a place here relative to, on our roster next year. But even with that, and even with a few of those young players that I just mentioned, we have a lot of work to do to have the team that we want to have, and I think it'll be a lot of high impact. I'm not so worried about the numbers per se. Maybe almost John Calipari, Arkansas basketball model of nine players that are going to play in terms of a basketball team and 3 walk-ons. I don't know what the math is on that on baseball, but that's where my head's at, right now in terms of putting together the roster going forward. And fortunately, at a place like LSU, you can do that. and we're off to a good start, with that and recruiting in terms of the transfer portal and, in terms of those players that I had meetings with. And I left plenty of them out. Brady Neal, Jaden Newt, excited to get him on the mound really for the first time. All of those types of things. So it's fluid. It's really fluid right now, and it is what it is. I'm like I said, I'm proud of the recruiting efforts that we've had since I've been here. I'm not a math guy, but somebody said something to me about 137 wins in 3 seasons and a national championship, and it's full steam ahead. And we're in a little bit of a different phase, and that's okay. And if you look around the league, it was a very old league this year, and I think there's going to be a lot of turnover. I kind of thought that between last year and this year. I was wrong about that, but there's good opportunities for the best players are out there to combine with those guys that I just mentioned to build another team that's competitive for the College World Series.
Last one from Coach Johnson yesterday as he wrapped up his press briefing talking about adapting here in the new age of the sport.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and I'm always evolving in this deal. I think this team we just had was a very deep roster. At the end of the day, you can only have 9 guys in the lineup at one time. For the SEC, I actually play a lot of players. You know what I mean? We actually pitch a lot of guys, and try to do that with development, win now, obviously, and then development in mind. And the reality is we're in a different landscape right now. I don't think it's about building program anymore, and that's like that's like my wheelhouse. My specialty is developing a program. You know what I mean? I'm very proud of the places that I've been, what we accomplished there, and what they continue to accomplish. From leaving them all in a very good spot. Nevada competed for a championship. I don't think they won it, but they competed for it the next year. Arizona has, been to the NCAA tournament 3 more consecutive years. The first 2 largely with the foundation of players that was hard to leave. The only reason I left was to come here. And but I think it's probably now about building your team 1 year at a time. And I don't say that in any other way other than, I want the guy that Skip Bertman was able to redshirt, okay, and then get in there in some type of role and then elevate that role and then become, a player that everybody around here remembers. The reality of that is that's much more difficult to do, in this landscape today. So we have to adjust. We have to adapt, improvise, and overcome that.